Lloyd Kelly, Bournemouth captain, booed by his own fans. And really, that incident is what made me spark this debate. It happened with Nathan Jones as well. He was taunted by Southampton fans, even in victory, with shouts of "you don't know what you're doing." He came out quite feistily, actually, on talkSPORT after and said, "You know what? I've been in this game a long time. Actually, I do know what I'm doing." But I want to touch on Bournemouth in particular, a club that I've followed closely for a number of years. And what doesn't sit right for me there at this moment in time, and I know Bournemouth fans, you're going through a difficult period, dumped out of both cup competitions since the World Cup break. Difficult game in the EFL Cup away at Newcastle, and not an easy game against Burnley yesterday, with the form that Burnley are in at the top of the Championship under Vincent Kompany. Lost at home to Darren Ambrose's former club, Crystal Palace. That wasn't a good performance either. Played okay at Chelsea, commentated the game on talkSPORT. Second half was all right. I didn't do too badly away from home at Manchester United. But I think it's the sense of entitlement, because this is a football club with the smallest ground in the Premier League. They've had the best decade of their football supporting lives, probably beyond their wildest dreams. And I think just sometimes they need to take a bit of a reality check, because in all honesty, had it not been for Maxime Demin and the money that he pumped into the club when he was the owner, had it not been for Eddie Howe, who probably is one of the best British managers of the last 20 years, they might well still be in League One playing alongside Bayo's former club, Wycombe Wanderers, and that would be their level. So to be outside the relegation place in the Premier League, to boo their own player, I just think it's really poor. And actually, Danny Mills said it in that package, you're a football supporter. Your job in times of adversity is to support the team and support your players. The home performances for Bournemouth have been really poor of late compared to what they're doing away from home against difficult opponents. And I think, Darren Ambrose, that's a direct reaction to the fact the fans are on their back, that there's a bit of a fear factor that's crept in. It's a young side. I think it's having a really detrimental effect on performances. And as I say, it's that sense of entitlement, really. Bournemouth have no right to be in the Premier League. Their fans have no right to expect them to be in the Premier League. I think they should be thankful for what they've got.
Yeah, look, I know what you're saying. I listened to Danny Mills in the feature as well, and he's right to a certain extent. But because there's you don't feel there's a sense of entitlement. They're a Premier League side now. Now, the least you expect is effort, and I think that's why supporters boo players, because they don't feel they're given enough effort. I don't think it's anything to do with ability. I don't think it's anything to do with sense of entitlement. I think if you look at, they looked at Lloyd Kelly, as you said, or they looked at Bournemouth yesterday, and they didn't feel they were given enough effort. And that I'm seeing, and Bayo will say the same. I see it from a player's perspective, and now I'm out the game. I've been booed by my own team, and it affected me massively. I was wondering why. Sometimes it would make me put less effort in, and then the boos would be louder and stronger. So it has a negative effect to players to a certain degree. I'm sure the Bournemouth players didn't accept that, and it had a negative effect on them. But now I'm out the game, and I think I wish I was stronger mentally when I was playing, when I was getting booed, because you should take that and say, I'm going to try and prove you wrong. I'm going to try and get you back on side. We've seen many players do that over the recent years, where look at Harry Maguire, got booed off the England supporters, had a good tournament, and he's kind of won them back to a certain degree. So that's what I think players need to do. If you're giving 100% effort, they won't boo you. And that's all they expect.
I disagree. I'm with you on everything you said, just the last line, in the sense of, I actually think sometimes fans don't take to certain players. I think that's the case. I think sometimes, and I see it as a player, and now I'm outside the game. At first, when I first heard this, I was thinking, fans should never. The definition of a supporter is to support. But now I'm kind of out the game, and I look at it. Sometimes fans, it's just a release. And as a player, look, we're going to get booed at this point. Do you know what I'm saying? My only flip side of that is, you've seen when fans turn on clubs, and we said this with Man United, when they don't like to play at Old Trafford anymore, or when it was at Arsenal and it felt toxic, you want to get away, because generally the away supporters will follow you through thick and thin and always will sing away, and then you just feel, you know what, we're together. Then when you go away, so I feel sometimes the booing, it's an adverse effect anyway, because it just gets on top. But on the flip side of it is, I do think, like you say, fans do pay the money and they want to release. They've got an inner release, and the way they release is as soon as they blow the whistle, they boo. I don't think it's right, and that's me personally. I don't think it's right because I do think when you're one together, you normally kick into, right, they clap me, and you know what, I wanna do it for the fans as well, because they've always, I'm lucky enough if I've never been booed from my supporters. But when I feel like I haven't put it in, or I felt fatigued, or that sort of thing, and sometimes players, we be going through some stuff, and fans ain't privy to that, but yet still the players, it could be having a bad time at home, going through injury.
They don't care though.
There's a lot. No, I don't.
There's
I know.
No care in
but,
that, is
but
there?
then when you said the fact about, you know what, you mentally, sometimes you're still going through all that, and then on top of that, they're booing. So that's why, for me, I just think the booing is an adverse effect. It don't give what they want, and that's for their team to do well. But at first I was going to say, no, you should never boo, but you get beat 9-0 and they've travelled, they're going to say something. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's an extreme scenario, though, isn't it? Let me just read some comments from some of the other Bournemouth players, because it was Lloyd Kelly, their skipper in particular, who was targeted. Philip Billing, midfielder, came out and said it was unacceptable. Jordan Zamora actually took to social media. Here's what he tweeted. He said, "We're all in this together, from the team to the staff to you, the fans. However disappointed you are with the performance, booing individual players is not on, especially the captain of the team. For that, I cannot stand with. As a collective, that's fair, because it hasn't been good enough, and we know that. We'll continue to work and push each other to be better. However, we're in this together, and that's all. Plenty of games to put things right. Enjoy the highs. Together, stronger." Together, stronger has been the Bournemouth slogan, if you like, throughout their climb from League One into the Premier League, relegated to the Championship, back in the Premier League. If fans are booing individual players, that isn't together stronger, isn't it? That isn't a sense of unity.
That's correct, and that is where, I don't know if I've mistaken my words. Collectively booing, I don't mind. I think okay as a collective. Individually, absolutely. When it happened to me and I was booed myself, it did affect me. But there comes times where if you're in the team and the support wants someone else in your position in the team, they'll boo you individually. That there's wrong.
That's wrong.
If you can boo the team, you can boo the team off if you think they haven't given enough commitment.
I still
in the
don't
first
think that's
half,
right, but we understand it as a team.
Exactly,
because it comes
individually.
With it.
No, that's a no-go for me, because as Bayo said, and I totally agree, they don't know what's going on at home. They don't know what's going on in your outside life. To boo a player individually, with the way the world is now in terms of mental health, etc., that could have a real adverse effect. Collectively, I don't mind. They pay their money. They want to see their team at least have a go. If they're not seeing that, you boo them off at half-time, you boo them off at full-time. Not individually for me.
And this is a young player, still relatively young player, who's had some serious injuries as well that have hampered his progress. I think his contract is into its last 18 months. Now, I assume he's in negotiations with the club about maybe extending that deal. If you're being booed by your own fans, maybe that might make him think twice about if he's actually at the right football club for his development. Hello to you all. It's never acceptable for fans to heckle and boo their players, regardless of how your team have played. It reflects poor taste and damages the players mentally, which is not going to help them win games. That's from Brenda in West Sussex. What about booing managers? Because Southampton picked up a rare win under Nathan Jones yesterday. They beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. It was a pretty poor game, two pretty poor teams out at Selhurst Park. Still, he was targeted, Nathan Jones, by those travelling Southampton fans with taunts of, "You don't know what you're doing." Surely you need to allow him to enjoy the victory, don't you?
For me, I don't get that. For me, like I said, I'm not big on booing, period. And it goes back to the same where even if booing former players, especially if you haven't left bad and you go and then every time they touch the ball you're booing. For me, I think it's the same. I don't kind of get that. But booing a manager, especially off the back of a win, again, because look, for some fans, the way for them to show their feelings, their emotion is to boo. So to be able to create an atmosphere. It's still especially that, because at the end of the day, for how I like to think of it, and the tweet said it, you're all in it for the same common goal. You want your team to be successful. The manager, the players, the fans, the staff, you all want it to be successful. Booing, it's going to have an adverse effect. So for their he's just got in the job as well. That for me, Nathan Jones has just got into a job, got the win. Hopefully turn things around. Let's build on that. Let's make it a fortress. Let's make it a togetherness. I've never been. I don't get that one.
We've had a tweet here at talkSPORT is the Twitter address. Booing an individual player is wrong. Okay, I won't boo, but I'll take their 15 million a year paycheck, pay too much and play bad. Deserved.
That's the issue there. It always comes back to money.
So what about the League Two players?
It always comes back to money.
Or the conference.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You can't just use it.
It doesn't matter how much money you get paid. People can have good form. They can have bad form. People can still have mental health problems and not. People can be mentally strong. It doesn't matter the paycheck. You don't deliberately go out. I never once deliberately went out to play bad in my career. I did play bad at times, and I knew about that in terms of the support. And I think the issue with Lloyd Kelly, as you said, maybe not wanting to sign a contract, with social media now, if he goes to another club, it takes one tweet to say, or one message, what's this player like? And then a real negative effect can be hitting towards them as well. So they could say, no, not very good, or he doesn't do this, doesn't do that. And then you're already going into a negative in your new club, all because the support think you're deliberately playing bad. No player deliberately goes out and plays poorly.
No, do you know what? And the thing is, even that tweet, 15 million. Like at the end of the day,
that's
right?
That's top Premier League player.
I just for me, and I come back to and I heed your point. Nobody sets out to play bad, and that person who's tweeting there saying, "Oh boy," then I'm just going to boo the individual. I'm not for it. Can understand. The fans just wanted to let out a cry. It's what they've seen on the pitch. Ain't been good. Boo. Let you lot know. Go in. You'll sit down. Manager uses that as, see, they've come to watch that. And you kind of use it as a gathering to be able to say, yeah, but you know what? He's earning this much money. So it's cool for us to say his name and boo him. He plays for your team. Like, you want him to do well. You booing him is not going to kickstart for him his morale, his mentality, for him to go. And that's the thing. And please, that whole money side of it, he is still, or the individuals are still human beings who have emotions. So take the contract outside. As a collective, work and be like, all right, cool, man. Look, we're going to support the team. While he's part of your team, y'all got to support.
Yep. We've had a tweet come in. Stephen Adams, Chelsea supporter, I believe. I feel I pay enough money as a Chelsea season ticket to boo or cheer when I want. At the very least, you should get 100% effort. And if that doesn't happen, then I have the right to boo. And none of us are disagreeing with that in here. In terms of collective, of course, you pay a lot of money, your hard-earned money, to go and watch your team. You travel around the country. You have a right to show and vent your frustration at the team. At an individual, that then affects every one of your team in the dressing room. You'll know that, if one of your teammates, I've been through it, I've seen teammates go through it, that affects you. And then you have a situation where, are you together as a football club in terms of support and in terms of team?
I was going to hit that on it. Because now the players have come out the Bournemouth players have come out for Kelly, saying, look, we're in this together. We don't have a divide. And you see, and we say this, we feel it with Arsenal and we feel it with United now, and you essentially feel it that there's a togetherness on the pitch. You go in and the fans are with them. And if it's not a great going on, you just know they're together. So nobody's saying the Chelsea fan, nobody's saying you can't boo. You're entitled to it if you go there. And that's a collective. As an individual, you're then saying, well, look, I can boo you. But at the end of the, and I keep coming back to, if I was to pick between your Chelsea doing well or you booing an individual, you'd want the person to do well. So if that you not booing helps your team do well, that for me, that's why you go to watch go watch a football. So that's just my take on that.
I think it's a fascinating debate, and I think we probably all agree that actually booing a poor performance as a collective is okay. Picking on individuals just isn't going to help.